On September 12, 2023, WWE was changed forever when it was sold and merged with the UFC, forming a new company called TKO. In doing so, WWE went from being majority owned by Vince McMahon to now being run by TKO's board of directors. Now, don't get me wrong, Vince McMahon's WWE was far from perfect, especially in his final years. This video also isn't a defense of Vince McMahon the person and the things he's been accused of doing. However, there are definitely some things in WWE that were done better when McMahon was in charge, such as number 10, tickets. Look at this. In April 2022, 2 tickets to Raw cost $254.30 or $127.15 each. Okay, but look at it now. 3 years later, in July 2025, those exact same tickets in the exact same venue are now $464.95 each, or $929.90 total. You're paying more than double for the exact same thing. And again, this is only a 3-year difference. I'm not trying to be a Vince McMahon apologist or defend the man. I'm just saying that during his era, WWE at least tried to be affordable for all fans. TKO caters exclusively to the wealthiest fans and is legitimately pricing some people out.
I wanted to go to a WWE show, but my mom said that she can't afford it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So I was sad.
Well, you could always watch it on TV, right?
Well, Karrion Kross, TKO is making that more expensive too, because of, number 9, streaming. I know, Vince McMahon was just as greedy as TKO. However, under McMahon, WWE was so much more affordable. In the 1990s, the company took pride in the affordability of its pay-per-views.
Of course, you've heard about the incredible price for In Your House. It's only $14.95. Can you imagine? $14.95.
Then, in 2014, with the launch of the WWE Network, WWE actually became even more affordable for fans. Before the network, WWE pay-per-views could range from $40 to $60. There was at least one pay-per-view per month, so if you wanted to watch all of them, you were spending well over $500 a year. However, when the WWE Network launched, it was $10 a month and you got every pay-per-view. Not only that, but there was a ton of original content and you got access to old Raws, SmackDowns, pay-per-views, and more. Now, under TKO, all that is gone. Beginning in 2026, pay-per-views, or premium live events, will be streamed on ESPN, and this service will cost $30 per month. To make the deal even worse, ESPN won't have any additional content. No archived episodes of Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, or anything. You're paying more and getting less. Again, Vince McMahon wasn't running a charity, but at least when he was in charge, he made an effort to give fans value. TKO's business model is the opposite. How can we give less value at a higher price? But you know what makes this even worse? Number 8, advertising. If you watch WWE now, it feels like one big commercial. Just about any open space in or around the ring has some logo on it, and it's borderline overstimulating. Wrestlers walk to the ring wearing sponsored gear, and even the weapons are now starting to have sponsors on them. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if one of the WWE Championship belts gets a brand logo slapped on it at some point. WWE has always had advertisers, but during the Vince McMahon era, there was some degree of separation between the advertisers and the actual show. I don't know if it's true, but apparently McMahon had offers to put logos on the WWE ring for years, but he always refused. Now, I'm not sure of the reason, but whatever it was, we benefited from it. Going back and watching older matches with a clean ring looks so much better compared to all the crap WWE has plastered everywhere now. It wouldn't be so bad if those ads helped keep WWE more affordable, but as you stated, it isn't. Most sports and streaming services offer an option where, for a small additional fee, you can remove the ads. WWE is the reverse. You pay more and you get more ads. And it doesn't end there. We have to talk about number 7, merch. Recently, WWE has partnered with Fanatics to produce their shirts and a wide range of merchandise. I would have no problem with that, except for the fact that Fanatics sucks at their job. The quality of their t-shirts and other merch is awful, and it's all way overpriced. Look at this Finn Balor demon puppet, $100. The designs on the shirts aren't really that good either. Sure, when Vince McMahon was in charge, WWE's merch wasn't the gold standard, but it was solid enough. This new merch just follows the same formula of how can you make the most money by giving the crappiest product. Okay, well, at least with all that money, WWE is keeping good care of its wrestlers and employees. Right? Wrong. Number 6, Stinginess. WWE has been making record profits. However, at the same time, reports have emerged that WWE employees have had their benefits reduced while also being assigned heavier workloads. Additionally, employees are only receiving a 3% pay increase, which barely keeps pace with the rising cost of living. Here's the other kicker. During the Vince McMahon era, WWE apparently had what they called the Superstar Program. Employees could reward each other with points that could be then used for cash bonuses and other things. Big shocker, but TKO has gotten rid of that. It's also the wrestlers who have gotten the short end of the stick too. When Vince McMahon was in charge, wrestlers could get free tickets for friends and family. However, TKO has stopped doing that and now apparently only sends wrestlers a link where they can buy tickets. When wrestlers shared their frustrations, WWE allegedly respond by saying they are millionaires and can afford the tickets. Sure, but WWE is a multi-billion-dollar company. It can afford health insurance and travel expenses for its wrestlers. Yeah, in case you didn't know, despite having record profits, WWE still doesn't cover wrestlers' travel and forces them to have their own health insurance. You know the joke about companies hosting a pizza party for their employees? I think WWE would do that, but they would charge you $20 to get in. Someone's got to pay for that pizza, and it ain't gonna be TKO. On a similar note, something else that was better when Vince McMahon was in charge was, number 5, commitments. In February 2025, WWE announced that WrestleMania 42 would take place in New Orleans, Louisiana. Then, 3 months later, WWE said WrestleMania 42 would now take place in Las Vegas. The only reason this happened is because Las Vegas was willing to give WWE more taxpayer dollars. But something this unprofessional would never have happened under Vince McMahon's leadership. When WWE announced that a pay-per-view, especially WrestleMania, was coming to a city, it was a guarantee. With TKO in charge, fans can never be 100% certain whether WWE is actually going to deliver on what it promises. Speaking of shows, that leads me to my next point. Number 4, lack of shows. Now, I'm not talking about lack of televised WWE shows. TKO is providing plenty of that. I'm talking about non-televised events or house shows. When Vince McMahon was in charge of WWE, the company would often run multiple house shows each week. The reason was twofold: to make more money and to grow WWE's fan base. These untelevised events weren't exclusive to big cities either. Places that were too small to host Raw, SmackDown, or a pay-per-view would still get an opportunity to see WWE live thanks to house shows. I live in a relatively small city, and this is how I was able to watch WWE live in person. Heck, in 2008, WWE ran a show in Cheyenne, Wyoming, a city with less than 60,000 people at the time. Even though the arena there was technically not large enough, it worked with their schedule, so WWE decided to give the Cheyenne fans a show. That would never happen today. Since TKO took control of WWE, the company has been holding fewer house shows, and the ones they do are in cities where they generate a significant profit. This sucks for fans in smaller cities who now have to travel if they want to see a WWE show live, making things even more expensive. I know that Vince McMahon wasn't running shows out of the goodness of his heart, but if it had been up to TKO, I and many other fans would have never gotten to see a live WWE event. Now, aside from business, I'm going to share something kind of controversial, and that's number 3, creative. Allow me to explain. Vince McMahon had a plethora of bad storylines and ideas during his tenure as WWE's leader. Triple H is now in charge, and in a lot of ways, he's doing a much better job than Vince. The current WWE feuds and stories are more cohesive, make sense, and tend to be more serious. This is a good thing. But the one problem is that those types of storylines can be predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen, and you're just waiting for it to get there. Yeah, Vince McMahon's storylines were sporadic and could change from week to week, which often made things worse. But there was an element of surprise. You didn't always know what to expect, and that made WWE exciting to watch, especially during the Attitude Era. In general though, there's just less variety in WWE now. The shows are a lot more serious, and matches tend to run longer. That's not all bad, but some of the best WWE moments are the comedic ones. Plus, shorter matches can be fun. There's just kind of a staleness with WWE right now. Again, one of the problems with Vince McMahon was that his creativity could be all over the place, but there was an element of unpredictability and variety that's lost today. Now, speaking of creative, there's something else I have to talk about, and that's number 2, theme songs. It's no secret that a lot of the entrance themes in WWE suck now. They feel so generic and less memorable compared to the songs of the past. This can primarily be attributed to one group, Death Rebel. Now, granted, Death Rebel started producing WWE theme songs in 2019. back when Vince McMahon was still in charge, so they were a Vince McMahon choice that TKO has continued to use. Here's why I include theme songs though. When Vince McMahon was in control, there was at least hope that the theme music would improve. With TKO, there's no chance they'll get better. McMahon was at almost every single WWE show, and someone could have gotten in his ear and told him, hey man, these songs really suck. With TKO, that's not even a possibility. That leads me to my last reason, and you might roll your eyes at me when I say this, but the number one reason WWE was better with Vince McMahon is passion. Until TKO bought WWE, the company was always controlled by one man, or one McMahon. Why does that matter? It felt like the company had some real passion behind it. Like I've said, Vince McMahon was in the business to make money, but he did seem to have genuine excitement for the wrestling business. He enjoyed making stars and creating moments that made the crowd react. Again, Vince was crazy and not a great human being. I'm not arguing that. But listen to how he talks compared to how Nick Khan, WWE's current president, talks.
You go out and you manipulate the audience and, they boo the hell out of you, and you really want to get that heat and feel it. We're not afraid of it. It's like, go embrace it.
WWE is a treasure trove of intellectual property, a treasure trove that has not yet been exploited in the way that we want to exploit it.
Nowadays, WWE just feels so much more soulless and corporate. Again, say what you will about Vince McMahon, at least he had some true appreciation and respect for wrestling. I don't think TKO has any of that. Since Vince McMahon stepped away, WWE has changed in some surprising ways. Wrestlers are now allowed to do things they never could before, including when it comes to sex. To find out what the rule change is, watch the video on screen.